So today we are talking to Maricela Soberanes, I think.
Maricella
Okay.
Soberanes. See, I can do that
It's not
too.
bad when
It's
you say
not
it
that cool.
fast. But she has a really cool story. She came to the US from Mexico with it was like $100 in her pocket. Fast forward to now, spoiler alert, she is a CRNA and she is worth a lot more than $100. So
A lot more than $100 is for sure. She's been able to step. I think she said she still works as a CRNA occasionally,
yeah.
but most of her income and most of her wealth is in real estate.
And she's involved with, we've talked about this on other intros to episodes, but just the power of community and getting out there and meeting people and networking. And oh, she's good at it. Welcome to the Investing RN podcast. Today we're joined by Maricela Soberanes. I probably didn't get that quite right. No, she's giving me a thumbs up, so I think I did it okay. She is moved here from Mexico at some point. We're going to hear about that, and has since then joined the military, worked through CRNA school, got into being a CRNA, and is now investing in real estate, still doing some CRNA work, and a lot to dive into on this episode. So we're excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Colin, for having me. Super excited to see these platforms where we reach out and send the message to other healthcare professionals that dedicate their life and their time to building and serving. And then at the end of their journey, or at one point, they wake up and they realize, oh gosh, I haven't diversified my income. And real estate, as you both know, is one amazing way to do it. So super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. So you moved here from Mexico. At what point did you move here from Mexico, and what did that look like for you?
So I was 23 years old. What did it look like for me? I had a business degree that I have been practicing for 5 years in Mexico. But when I came to the States, I didn't speak the language, so I couldn't really practice business. So I dedicated my beginning of the journey to learn English. That was actually my goal when I came here to the States. And I didn't really have a lot of money, so a lot of scarcity and a lot of hustling during the years to come too. But definitely was I would say that challenging beginnings in the States. Like I said, I was 23 years old. I really didn't know anyone that I could be a resource of. So that put me in a position of finding solutions that highlight to me the importance of managing the only resources that I had, which was not money, as I had $100 to my name, and it was more my time and my mindset. And so I just like use those two tools and stay positive, stay always learning. And through that, I went through nursing school. I learned about nursing because in Mexico, nursing is not very well seen, or definitely not a high earning profession. So I learned about nursing and ended up going into RN, then BSN. I'm sure your audience will understand those terms. But then I found out about CRNAs, and I was like, well, why not? Let's go to CRNAs. And as you know, the CRNA entry salary at that point when I graduated in 2009, it was about 240,000 a year. So that put me in a position where I could make more like a quick building on wealth. And that, I guess I fast forward a little bit, but that's kind of where I transitioned into nursing and, a little bit of the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have some interaction with a CRNA that kind of spurred you on to thinking, oh, this is kind of cool, I want to do that? Or what was your introduction into anesthesia?
Yeah. So when I transitioned from business degree, my mom, I was the first in the family to go to school, to go to college, and when I told her that I was going to be a nurse, she, I can see her face, I can hear her disappointment and the disappointment in her voice. And what I told her was that I promise that whatever profession I decide to go and pursue, I will always look for the highest degree. And so when I learned that there was a master's entry level, I figured, okay, I learned about PA or nursing practice, master nursing practice. I can remember. And then I learned about CRNA through one of my colleagues, and while I was working in the ICU, and she introduced me to the the anesthesia, chief's anesthesia. And when I went to the the OR for the first time, I saw a patient having surgery, and I saw a nurse that had done the nursing CRNA, and I started asking questions. And thankfully, after that round, there was one day that actually half a day that I did shadowing her, and at the end of that morning, the chief anesthesia told me what it requires, what a CRNA requirement is for schooling, and she said you will get a master's degree. So I was like, oh, that goes perfectly with my promise to my mom. So I decided to go get that degree, and then I learned, I graduated in 2009, and that was the year that we were transitioning to a doctorate degree education. So I went back and got my doctorate degree as promised, and that's pretty much what put me in the path of then joining the military.
Wow. Lot going on there. So going back, so kind of like just laying out a timeline for us. So you came to the States when you're 23. What state did you move to?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Okay, so you moved to Austin, Texas. You didn't speak any English, and you had a business degree. So how long did it take before you were able to learn English? And then did you move here by yourself or with family, or what did that look like?
By myself. I came in a bus all by myself, and like I mentioned, I didn't know anyone. Like, I land in a place where the stranger was my best friend. I have to create those relationships. I had to work daily, like just trying to find really. I would say that isolated into my necessary items, like choosing the people that you surround yourself with. I choose very strategically who I spend time with, and mostly it was to find a job, find resources to learn English. How long it took me to learn English, I am still working on that. um, but
Better than my Spanish.
I learned English as I was actually taking my prereqs for an RN program. That was I was translating every single word in the microbiology and anatomy and physiology books, and the textbooks were pretty much my English instructors.
So yeah, okay. So and so at what age did you get your RN?
I was 26, I think.
Oh, so you pretty much got right into it then as soon as you got here. I mean, that wasn't
Velocity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
so I work in the ICU.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I work in the ICU for a year and a half. The requirement is 1 year, so I stayed there until the program actually started. While I was after I graduated as an RN, I continued to go to school to get my BSN, which is needed for the for the CRNA. So it was like a continuum of everything. You asked for a timeline. If everything was a continuation and kind of working together, like I was getting my BSN, I was working in the ICU, I was also doing a fellowship for expedite learning. It was an offering by the city in Austin. It was just a way to expedite your learning, and that helped me a lot to be in a position of CRNA. As you know, Joshua, the CRNA is very demanding, like very just laser focused on the specialty. So I got into CRNA school in 2007. Yeah, 2007, and graduated in 2009. So everything happened really, really quickly, and wait until we add the layer of the real estate.
Yeah, you've got to go. That was actually one of my next questions, because when you moved to the US, you said you had $100 to your name, and then you make it through nursing and then CRNA. I was going to ask, so what was the incentive for you to keep learning and keep growing and building business and real estate? And because CRNAs make good money, so what was the incentive to keep going and to keep pushing?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was here by myself. I was in the US by myself, and I saw in nursing school, nursing in the ICU, I saw so many tragedies, so many people that had an amazing life, and all of a sudden something happened, and there was like their businesses have to stop. I mean, I remember one specific client was a dentist, and his practice was around him. So him not being able to work because he was in the ICU, everything stopped. So when I first, well, I've been always in, I would say, much control of my time, my money. Even if I make $3, which I had one point, I had $3 positive. I make some money. I have to pay for the taxi, and whatever I have left was $3. I knew exactly how much I made that day. If you follow me on social media, I actually posted that because I still had the booklet where I used to write all of my income. So having control of my money was a way to survive without having to depend on my family in Mexico, which they didn't have the means to help me. So and then the so when I graduated from nursing, I figured, let me see like what the American people do. Like they graduate from college, get a nice car, get a nice house, and I'm like, I don't really want to like I don't want to put a car in my. And I didn't even really have credit because I never used credit. I used to pay everything cash, and even as I was cleaning tables, cleaning houses, cleaning offices, and a salary that was like a very minimum, maybe like $3 an hour back then. I was able to save $12,000 before I went to nursing school. I mean, to nursing school. So I was able to pay my own way to nursing school. I didn't have loans there. Same thing. I continued to, keeping the promise to my mom to continue to get to the highest degree. I paid for the BSN as well. It wasn't until I went to CRNA that you have to stop working, and that was my only source of income. So um, I had to get debt for getting to CRNA school. And coming out of that CRNA school, I had purchased a duplex, which I moved in one side and I rented out the other side. That was while I was working in the ICU as a nurse. So when I moved to a different state to go to CRNA school, I was able to rent out both places, and I saw that I wasn't really making a lot of money. I was clearing all of the expenses, but knowing that I have a property that was acquiring or was increasing in price, that was very encouraging. And so I figured, if I can do this and clear some profit, I can at least have another source of income if I'm not able to work in whatever field I end up. So yes, CRNAs make it some really good salary, and I started traveling 5 years into practicing. So I pretty much make my own schedule, make my own. My many times I was able to negotiate my quote, and I worked through agencies at the beginning. Then I was able to negotiate my own contracts directly with the hospital. So I was keeping more of the earning, and then I deployed in 2006. No, 2016. Yeah. 2016, I deployed, and I took the time to really understand what are the strategies and the tax strategies and the benefits of investing in real estate, and how can I use that to decrease my taxes. Because when I deployed, I was overseas. So I kept my whole earnings. So that was about 35% more than what I was keeping in the States. So that was eye opening to keep that much money. And I figure, I need to find a way. And if you audience, if you want to put it in the notes, Free Tax Wealth, I think that's the name, by Tom Wheelwright. It's an excellent book, and I still read it at least once a year, because it has so much information that you can implement. And I'm gonna pause here just to make sure we're still tracking.
Yeah.
Oh, keep going! Don't stop. No, just kidding.
Well, I guess the one thing I would ask is like, so nursing school, CRNA, and then you said from there you went into the military.
Yes, yeah. I was
Okay.
a CRNA when I joined the military. Yeah, a
And
doctor
which
prepared
branch?
CRNA. Navy.
Oh, okay. Navy. Okay. And then you got deployed in 2016?
Yes.
Okay. So you did it all. Well, kind of to Josh's point, it's like, going from $100 to the CRNA salary, like a lot of people would just stop there and say like, hey, this is enough. Like I'm doing really well now compared to, where you started, and you'd pursued the highest degree that you could potentially get in nursing. But then you found real estate. Did you find real estate before starting in the military, or did that kind of happen around the same time?
Before, when I graduated from nursing, I got my first duplex, and then going to CRNA school, I saw that I could potentially clear the payment of the house if I bought another house. So, but I couldn't really apply for loans or get another property because I was in school full time and didn't have a job because you cannot work while you're attending CRNA. So it wasn't until I came back and I graduated that I actually have the CRNA income. And I moved back into the duplex and did upgrades. And about maybe a year later, I bought another house that I thought, this is going to be my nice house. And then from here, I'm going to stick by my plan was to buy one house a year. I figure that's easy, with all the money that I'm saving. And so when I deployed, I'm like, wait, I can do it a little faster if I do a small multifamily. And my way of doing it faster was fourplexes, and that's exactly what I did. I got under contract to buy a fourplex, and then that person was offloading her inventory, so she offered me another fourplex right around the corner. So I purchased those two. That put me at 11 units, I think. And I was managing those while I was working remotely. So I had to build my team, and it was, anyone that wants information on how to manage remotely, let me know. Landlord hat, Navy hat, I wore CRNA hat, I wore them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I did. And then in 2000 and end of 17, I met my husband, and one of the missions and the Navy, and we started talking business. And eventually, he bought into the idea of building a portfolio. And we got under contract for two other fourplexes. And then I decided, okay, wait a minute, let me talk to the CPA. If we're gonna do this, we need to do it right. What are the tax implications for this purchase? It was almost $1 million acquisition. So we ended up getting married, not because of that. The tax benefits were nice, but it just makes sense that we were going to join our businesses as well as our portfolios and our lives. So we ended up getting married, and then we just went into acquisition mode for since 18 through 20. And then something happened in 2020. Yeah. So I was out. We were in
I remember.
right. We were on a roll of acquisition. Like, market was amazing. We were acquiring units. Like, they were cash flowing. We had a cash flowing portfolio. We accumulated to 35 apartments, and this was in Austin. Clearing about 380,000 a year. So that was easily replacing my income. And he retired in 2020 as well. So we were like, oh, grandparents. We just got the announcement of being a grandparent. So, like, nice. I just need to get my rocking chair and my front porch set for life. But then we actually challenges with the portfolio, with all the payments and the loans and everything. We actually it was another defining moment there where we needed to decide to keep doing what we were doing. Acquisitions were a little tougher now. We didn't really wanted to deploy all of our reserves because we didn't know how long this COVID um, deal was gonna go on for. So we decided to invest in mentorship. So we found mentorship, and we learned more about scaling a business. We had three priorities when we started transitioning. We wanted to keep our cash flow. We wanted to decrease our liability because a lot of the loans were on personal name. So we wanted to decrease the liability, and we wanted to scale because we have seen the power of the real estate. Again, it was cash flowing, and at that point, we were saving. We were probably about saving about 15% on taxes. So we're not zero taxes, but we were saving quite a bit. So those are the things that we wanted to keep, and we again started joining masterminds and learning how to scale a portfolio. At which point we met one of our great mentors, and he pretty much said, sell your trash. Your small trash is keeping you busy. It's keeping you content with a 380 income. Like, you just think you made it. And he challenged us to think bigger. And that's exactly what we did. We turned around and started selling our portfolio and started transitioning that capital, investing it into apartment syndications. We also diversified to buy mobile home parks and self-storages. That was at the end of 2021. And as of now, we are co-owners for 2,900 apartments. We have 3 mobile home parks. We are buying one more for, I think, 286 paths. And we have gone full cycle in some properties, and we still have a self-storage, and we're building one more.
Wow, so many things to dive into. So where do we start? No. So I was going to say, so it sounds like your real estate investing journey starts out as a lot of investors start. Like you buy one house and you're like, oh, if I buy one every year, that's great. I'll be set, in 10 years. At what point, but it sounds like at some point you realize that it's a little bit more powerful than that, and you should maybe turn it into a little bit more active business. So at what point did the transition in your own mind take place to where it needs to be more of a business than just a long-term strategy?
So that's a good question, because like I said, when I deployed, I took the time to dive into any material that I could get a hold of, and I learned about syndication model there. But when I mentioned that to my husband, we didn't have the time. He was still active duty. I was still reservist and traveling. So it didn't make sense to go with scaling the portfolio then. And, we still didn't have the credibility. We haven't done it ourselves. So at that point, we doubted ourselves. I found at 22 units, I think it was like $2.5 million in Austin. I was like, I know the area. I know we can cash flow this, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't really know how to go about it, how to set up a syndication, how to bring partners, how to, just, do the larger scale at that point. And so we kind of walk away from that idea. We decided to keep building with our own money, and then just keep it at just between the two of us. And then when we decided to sell with that mentorship that I mentioned, um, we realized that we had found or bought ourselves a job, because we were self-managing. We couldn't really separate from the portfolio because something was going to happen, and we needed to be there. So we definitely didn't want that. So at that point, and it was probably in 2018 when, even though I was managing my business, I incorporated. I had started transferring some of the loans into the commercial loans, and depending on the profit of the properties, not necessarily and my income. So that was a little bit of separation, but we didn't really fully separate it until we went into larger scale, syndications, buying 100 plus units, because that's just how you handle business when you bring partners. But it took the mentorship and the guidance from people that's what they were doing. And right now we have one portfolio we bought at 24 units, and it takes much more time that it takes or 397 units. So definitely handling it as a business brings its own benefits. The property itself is able to pay for better vendors, for better management, for just overall for it brings more. It's scalable. You get better lending. The lenders are gonna like a newer property, more diversified in units than a fourplex or even a eightplex. So those are some of the big benefits that we see doing this real estate, not only like a side job, but as a full time. And my husband does this full time. I still go back and practice once in a while. And like I mentioned before, we're also coaching other people how to do this. So we are in one way or another involved in the business, but we don't really have to be if we didn't want it to.
Yeah. I think a lot of the stuff you said, somebody challenging you to sell the older properties that were like just the headache and the work, and the idea of self-managing. I mean, I know we're definitely, Josh and I are business partners in our real estate portfolio, and something you mentioned earlier was like the velocity of just you. It sounds like you're just moving very fast, doing all this stuff. But the big thing that Josh is always pointing out was like the velocity of money. And as much as I kind of wanted to hold these assets because they were cash flowing and they were income, producing, they were headaches and they were a lot of work, and it just made more sense. And fast forward to what we've done, it's like we were able to sell these older units, and now we bought a mobile home park with one of them through a 1031 exchange. And so there's
Nice.
these benefits, but it's kind of shifting that mindset. So another thing you mentioned was the mentorship, which is another mindset shift because that's obviously a big investment. So how did that go for you guys? Was that something that you guys were resistant to for a long time, or were you always open to that and just the timing wasn't right? Like, how did you guys shift to actually invest in a mentor or a coach?
That's a great question. So both of us being in the military, you are mandated to have at least one mentor, and your mentor has to be at least 2 ranks above yours. So that was something that we saw in the military, how like it helped, and our mentors, we didn't represent competition for our mentors. They wanted to help us. They've done it. They have done it, successfully. And so borrowing that model, bringing it into the real estate, there was no resistance. There was more like, gosh, we need this. Like we needed to find, but we needed to find the right person or the right group, right community, because there were some communities that we joined that we quickly outgrow them. They were joining, and the conversations was like, I'm buying a house, I'm flipping a house, like that wasn't our language anymore. So we quickly saw that having the right information faster was going to allow us to make decisions way faster. And as you know, like especially in the real estate, everything is timely. Like even if you are learning something, you pay for a course, or buy a book, or listen to a podcast, those are static information. For us, information that is more pertinent, being in communities, being in masterminds where we spend time with people that are doing things. Maybe, like, for example, we're recording this in 2023, the end of 2023. The acquisition for this year has drastically decreased because of the market conditions and the lending conditions, insurance, and other expenses. So if you were to stay, or we were to stay in our own community that we're doing only 1 or 2 transactions, one closing a quarter, as compared to being in the room with 20, 50 other people that are closing, maybe we're not closing deals. We're not underwriting. Maybe we're not even getting to the lending phase, but those people are. So being able to be in those rooms where that information is shared, there was really not a price for us. We have, and I openly say, we have spent over $500,000 in less than 2 years to invest in learning and being in rooms like that. But it has easily came back, every single cent, like, already paid off. And that's not even like with the experience that we have, and now being able to coach and mentor others.
$500,000 is a lot of money. And
Is it an investment?
we've invested a lot of money in coaching and mentorship. We haven't quite got to $500,000.
Hang on with me.
But a lot of
Come with me. I can help you.
Challenge accepted.
But think about it.
But
or the value of the portfolio when we sold, it was about $4.5 million. Our value right now is about $300 million. So it all depends. I mean, there's always going to be challenges and problems. I want the problems that pay the most.
Yeah.
I think if you ask anybody here, they would all pay $500,000
to get there
to own $300 million worth of real estate.
It is hard, because when we started looking at mentorship, it was hard to pay the first $10,000. You have to see that first of all, and one of our mentors always says, price is only an issue in the absence of value. So you need to stop looking at the price. You need to start looking at what is this training, mentorship, coaching, whatever it is that you're buying into, gonna get me, and how quick is gonna be the collapse of time. The people. Somebody recently asked me, what are your main hacks when it comes to building wealth that quickly? I said, one, living in America. There's no way that if I was living back in Mexico, or maybe in many other countries, that level of success could happen. And 2 is mentorship. Because anytime you engage somebody that is steps ahead of you, like in the military, you're collapsing the time frames that is going to take you from the time that you're now and to the time that you want to be, or where you want to be, success you want to have. So those are my 2 hacks. Take it or leave it, but they work for me.
Yeah. Well, and I'll probably botch this quote, but I think I've said it a few times, from Alex Ramosi. He says something to the extent of, if you could pay somebody $1 million to learn how to make $1 million every year moving forward, would you do it? everybody thinks $1 million is a ton of money, and it is. But if you're guaranteed to make $1 million every single year moving forward, everybody would figure out a way to get that money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's tough too, because and you mentioned this earlier with your mom. When she found out that you were doing nursing, and it was like her perception of nursing was one way, so it was like, oh, why are you doing that? And I think a lot of times people will take that negative feedback and maybe like not pursue what they're going to do or change their course. And these mentorships are kind of the same way. We invested in a business coach. It was like $25,000, and if you go and tell that to people that aren't involved in this world, it's just like, oh, that's like a scam. Like, what are you doing for that? And like, so it's you really have to be sure and stay your course. And clearly, when you do, this is what can happen, and it's incredible to see it. So I mean, it's a great testament to what's possible.
Thank you. Yeah, I firmly believe if I need to complete, like one other example, I wrote when I wrote my first book. I've been trying, I've been procrastinating, I've been doing a little bit of YouTube, like all the free resources I can find, and I just couldn't pull the trigger. So I bought into a mastermind, and my challenge or my goal was to write this book in 90 days. Done. Just because of the power of accountability, the power of like, let me show you, instead of you going watching 3 hours of YouTubes to find out what publishing, whatever, like, let me give you the resources. So if I want to start a garden, which I don't garden, I will pay for a mastermind or some sort of coaching. You know what I mean? Like anything that I looked at now, I'd rather pay a coaching. I'd rather pay somebody that has done it and can show me faster, because I'm way too old to be wasting my time and trying to learn everything. Henry Ford tells you, or said it before, why would I pay to inundate my head with knowledge that I don't need to be, or I don't need to be an expert on everything. If I can have the resources and pick up the phone and call that person that's going to give me the guidance, why do I need to fill my brain with all the knowledge? I have a selective ignorance. That's what I call it.
I will throw this out there. So if anybody's looking for gardening help, my wife is a wizard.
And she's taking clients as a mentor. I love it.
And she's only $500,000 for each new client.
Best carrots ever.
Yeah.
Love it.
So you mentioned earlier that you still do shifts in the hospital occasionally. So kind of give us a little rundown on what your day looks like now with investing in real estate and anesthesia occasionally.
Yeah. So I still do locums, and when I do, I go back full time. So I work usually. I've been cutting back in the past probably 4 years. I've been cutting to working months at a time. The last sabbatical that I took, it was at 20 months off, and then I went back this summer. I worked for about maybe 4 months, and I only work with places that have great flexibility. I used to do rural places where there's 1 or 2 CRNA practice, but now if I have to attend mentorship that I pay a lot, then I want to have that weekend off. So I work in specific hospitals that have a lot of flexibility, that have more staff, and so that's kind of what I do. Usually in the mornings is the hospital. I don't do weekends or overnights anymore. So in the afternoons, I can allocate my time for coaching calls, partner calls, and like I said, my husband does the full-time syndication or real estate, so he handles most of the day-to-day operations with asset management and team meetings.
Yeah, and so you've mentioned coaching as far as you paying other coaches, but now you and your husband are doing coaching as well, and sounds like you got a lot of different businesses going. But tell us about the coaching that you guys are doing. What's that for? Who are you targeting?
Yeah, so 3 major demographics that are ready to take action. So those that are high earners, high taxed, so basic professional healthcare professionals. We have a program to expedite most of them are in a position that they can get a general partner position or a joint venture where they get to keep more of the profits and scale their business faster. So that's one demographic. We also mentor people that are in the small multifamily that want to get into large multifamily, because we've done it successfully. And we still coach those that want to get started with houses in duplex, because again, we've done it, and we understand that if you do it with a plan in mind, like you're saying, you can accumulate, get you some the red houses, and then get the greenhouse. So is that the right color? So we
Think
can
so.
help you. We can help you do that. Build a little portfolio, then exchange it to something bigger. And when you have a plan, you can definitely. There's nothing wrong with going with the house, duplex, and scale. So that's the other uh, I would say demographic that we help. And business owners, again, business owners are in a position to sign on loans, be general partners. They probably have a group of people that they've been helping or they are connected with that they could bring as passive investors. So that's capital raising. So those are the three demographics that we see the most potential. Like, we can see the results if we engage you in mentorship. 3 to 6 months you should be, or that's the idea, to get you the tools so that you can be in a general partner position. And then from there, we just continue to build. And majority of the people that we coach and mentor, they we are also grooming them so that we can be partners eventually, because then we already know each other. It's just building that relationship.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the evolution of that coaching company? Because I'm sure at some point you're like, oh, I want to take on clients and I want to coach, but how do I get my first client? So talk about like how you started and then what it looks like now, how many clients you currently work with, and just
Yeah,
talk all
so
about that.
I should also add that we do business coaching. Like, we have somebody that has a landscaping company, so completely unrelated. But again, that's also our pool of potential investors later, or potential partners. And we do that through mostly just referrals from the people that we have been helping over the years. And we also are part of the 10X, the Grant Cardone 10X community. And we are coaches for that for that community. We are elite coaches. So if you know anything about Grant Cardone, he specializes in sales, marketing, and real estate. And we are able to use all of that material to help our business to get more visibility in their businesses, use marketing, and scale their businesses. So again, it's not only real estate that we coach, but in for that specific pool of mentees, there's tons of people that are kind of on the waiting list, like to be like ready to or to be mentor for that community. Let's see, there's a process to it, but once that they identify your strengths, they pretty much fit in your patients. I mean, not patients, clients. Patients. I
There's
know,
some
right?
overlap here, business and,
Yeah.
and healthcare.
I'm glad you get it.
Yeah. So you have a VA company. Let's kind of dive into that a little bit now. So what is a VA? What is the purpose, and how can they help you in your
Yeah.
business?
So a VA is a virtual assistant, is a part of the team, a team member that is usually located overseas. And there's the component of more affordable labor, but the quality of their skills is by no means decreased. Big companies like Toyota, Radio Shack, big uh, what do you call it, call-in centers, insurance, sales cars use a lot of that labor. And it's again the flexibility, the quality of the skills is sometimes you even get better and more eager to serve and to be a part of the team, type of team members. So for most business owners, I think that earlier you were talking about when do I make the investment of coaching or mentorship, and when do I make the investment of creating my team. And for most entrepreneurs and business owners, it's a hard decision to hire somebody in the States, because of the price, and also you're committed to a family, financially. So we started using the virtual assistants and slowly start training them to fit our business, to serve our business. We currently have 10 virtual assistants that help Oplex and XBiz, which are the or two companies, the real estate and the virtual assistant agency. And then we have about 50 something VAs that serve other clients. The way we fix problems for our clients is by providing the um, uh, one, the affordability. Two, we pair it with coaching. most of the clients that we come across, they either hire a virtual assistant and it didn't have a good experience, or have never hired a virtual assistant. So it's really difficult for them to even uh, feel like they're using them optimally. And then we like our model is flexible that enough that you can use them when you need them. Like if you have a seasonal kind of job, or if you got a deal now, you need to put together a pitch deck. You have a lot of business going around, so we have that flexibility that you can hire them on demand, and you don't really have to hire somebody. You're not committed to financially to keep a position as a full time or a part time. And let's see, for so yeah, that's kind of the premises of what we do. And we started with providing VAs for syndicators and real estate business uh business type. But through, again, the referrals, we have been able to build into other type of businesses. And pretty much we use the rules of the military. Again, my husband calls me the master delegator. If I have to do one thing twice, I'm already delegating them, and I have somebody doing the SOP for it, the standard operating procedure, meaning it delineates the steps that they're taking to complete the task. So if for whatever reasons they go on vacations, or we build in the team and we have another person, they don't have to spend the time training somebody else with the same information. They already have everything outlined, videos, documents, templates, and everything. It's simply like, here, handle this. So that's the model that we use for that.
Now, what type of stuff can you hire a VA to do for you? Are they? Yeah, I guess that's just it.
Yeah,
What
I
can
can
they
give
do?
you a list of tasks for sure. And actually, if you're okay in the notes, maybe we can include a link to.
Mhm.
That's just I think like 27 things that they can help you. And the real estate, they can help with asset management, follow ups, rent, like or collection, counting, conciliation of books, social media management. If you have a podcast here, they can talk to your prosperous speakers. They can seek out speakers for you, publish all of this, chop it up in pieces, and put it on social media. They can do underwriting. Let's see, rent by rooms. They can follow us at customer service. They can do sales, like cold call sales. If you have a pitch that you have, maybe you're looking for properties and you're just calling, cold calling. You can pretty much train them to do everything and everything: video editing, booking your travels, coordinating your meetups, um, anything. A gift for your wife, supplies for the garden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
Well, and
versatile.
oh yeah. So Josh and I invest, and then our third partner is my wife, which is Josh's sister. So
Oh,
we have a
nice.
bit we have a bit of that family dynamic. And recently, through our
Yeah.
business coach, we did the intermetrics, so like the personality test or whatever, to determine what we were good with. And it turned out that my wife, Josh's sister, had the traits of a CEO. So she is now, I guess, technically kind of our boss.
Yours.
She doesn't let
Yeah.
us forget that. She
She,
reminds us
she
every day.
regularly lets us know that she is the boss and the CEO. How,
That's
how did you
funny.
guys? How did you guys kind of find that after you convinced him to marry you for the tax benefits? How did you guys? How did you guys kind of fall into your roles there? Was that natural, or was there a little work involved in that? And how's that day to day just working with your husband?
I love that. Thanks for that question. So initially, I have to admit, we got married. We met in Sicily, so
Oh,
we dated for some months overseas. And then when he came back, he was stationed in San Diego, and most of my contracts were in the high paying states, up in the cold weather. So we were in opposite side of the states. So initially, getting into the operations, managing the portfolio, it was kind of, we fall into it. He's really good with numbers, analytics, systems, and I'm good with, let's take action, let's go, like, let's go look for the next deal. So for some time it was a little challenging, because being apart, being challenged with our daily jobs plus the portfolio. Needless to say, we actually found a book that was a life saving. The book is called Rocket Fuel, and highly recommend for partners, for especially if you work with your significant other. It kind of gives you the personality trait. It kind of puts you into, okay, you are the mission, the visionary. You're gonna start all the processes. You're gonna look for ideas, and then you have the integrator. So I would say, organically grew into, he likes to organize things and likes to stabilize things. I like to go look for new adventures. So, but the most important thing is, like, you have to give the importance to each other, because if you don't have a visionary, you're gonna be staggered, always fixing your things, and really never growing, or taking very small steps to grow. And opposite, if you have all the visionaries and nothing to integrate, every project that you start is gonna fall apart the second that you go looking for the next one. So it's important to recognize that, and also to just to be more aware. And I wouldn't say I don't like numbers. I would say I prefer not to do the numbers. I delegate the numbers, so I can still practice. I can still make progress with the team. But I recognize that he brings a lot of experience. He brings a lot of the negotiation skills, and it's just recognizing each other. But that's pretty much how um, we continue to grow. And the business for the coaching as well as the virtual assistant, I came up with the idea. I would seek out the first clients, and I was like I'm front of the business. And now he's back into, okay, like, let's now solidify all this, just building all these processes in place. But yeah, that's kind of how we divide and conquer.
Sounds like it's working.
Oh yeah, it is pretty much so. Yeah. I wouldn't say, I won't lie that sometimes.
Pretty
Well,
much
sometimes
working.
we kind of blend, and we're like, "What are you doing handling my social media?" Like, or stuff like that. Or he'll be like,
That sounds like
if we're doing an interview together, he'd be like, "Let me handle the numbers." Like, he wants to. When you have him, hopefully you have him here. Ask him, like, he can tell you the return on investments. He can calculate. He's a spreadsheet walking. And so when you want more tangible information, and like get me to the specifics, or back engineering into an underwriting, that's your guy.
Yeah, we'll have to get him. Yeah.
Thank you.
So are you guys doing any other kind of investing, stock market, anything else, or are you guys just mostly real estate?
Yeah, we still have some military retirement working in the market, but we like things that we have some way of controlling, and we diversified within the real estate. Like I said, we have self-storage, mobile home parks, multifamily, development of storage. We do private lending money, and we have some notes. So that combination of all of that is what allow us to continue to have the cash flow in portfolio, continue to grow, and then net worth and scale. Yeah, but that's an all kind of diversification, at least.
Is your mom okay with you being a nurse now?
She passed when I was before I went to CRNA school, actually. But I think
Oh,
she was pretty proud.
that's good.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
bet. Yeah, too bad she couldn't see all this, because man, this is wild.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the final segment of our show. We call it the Final Four. So the first question is, what's a top financial resource for nurses?
My book.
There you go.
And I can give you guys the link for the free download if you like that. But I put together pretty much what I wish was there for me when I was starting, when I was transitioning. But again, like I mentioned, any book is static, so definitely get into the rooms where there's that conversation of what's going on a day to day, like what's changing on a day to day. But definitely podcasts. I love podcasts. When I first get started, those are for free. A lot of contacts that you can make. Just reach out to the speaker. I get reach outs from podcasts that I've been, and there's always this nice communication to continue with the question. So I like the more up to date, and this is episode might be outdated, but I'm still living and learning. So reach out to me if you're listening to this 5 years from now. My goal is to continue to be with my finger in the pulse, pretty much of the pulse of real estate. Well, maybe maybe the anesthesia too.
So
more overlap.
Yeah.
I love it.
So the second question is, what would you tell yourself as a new grad?
That's a new grad. I would say go faster, but I think that was pretty timely. uh, okay, so as a new grad, I probably would not invest in a small multifamily. If you know, and I don't think I touched this on the depth that I acquired going through CRNA school. I came out with a $250,000 bill for student loans. Not everything went flawless. Then the duplex that I had overseas, I mean, over different state. So those are some mistakes that I would say could have slowed me down. I paid off my student debts in 18 months. That was another mistake. If I have to do it again, I wouldn't pay that money. I would invest that money, and then with the proceeds, we'll pay the student loans, because the student loans don't hurt you. But I was in the mindset of like, no debt, no debt, no debt, no debt. But there is some good debt if you know how to manage it. So I definitely would say hire or be coached by somebody, even if it's a senior CRNA or a senior nurse that have done well. Don't go with the senior ones that are still complaining and dragging their feet to go to cover the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. One quote that I've heard is, "Don't take advice from somebody who's not where you want to be." So to your point, find a CRNA that you want to emulate, or like that uses strategies that you want to test out and try. So you said you wouldn't invest in small multifamily. Why? Can you go into why you wouldn't do that?
Again, it was distracting. As a CRNA, let's suppose that your budget is to have 50,000 invested every year, and I think that's pretty lame. If you ask me, I think that with a CRNA job and living, with the mindset of building your wealth, do it in the first 5 years of your practice, and then you can have liberty of practicing or not, or at least have an option. So let's suppose it's a new grad. If you invest, let's get the nice car. Okay, I get it. Let's do some travel. I get it. You deserve it. But let's just say $50,000 a year. And that's usually the minimum investment for a syndication. Put it to work. Don't try to learn the business. You're still trying to establish yourself in your practice. So don't add another headache. Do it passively. You're building your bio. You're building your networks. And you're gonna learn through that, because when you pay attention. Your money is gonna be working for you. And then 5 years, just do it at 250. That's a $500,000 that you have in 5 years. And again, this is pretty lame. Double that. You have a $500,000 invested in 5 years. So, and then most of the syndication models double your investment capital in 3 to 5 years. So in 5 years, you double that. Now you have $1 million invested. Don't take any of that and reinvest it.
That's it.
So what are on that same note, what are some questions that you would ask before you go invest your money in some of these syndications? Because not all syndications go great, and there's several that I've heard of recently where they went down the drain. So what are some questions that you would ask somebody when you're actually looking for one?
Absolutely. That's another QR code that I can share with you, because I have a list of things that you should ask. And I actually have them in my book. So I really hope that I can add value to your audience with that. But definitely, when you invest in a syndication, you are investing. First of all, there's risk to anything and everything. But get to know the sponsorship, the whole team. Get to know, have they done it successful? How many times? What markets? What is the property that you're buying into? Understand basics of it. Don't go in blindly. Learn how. I have a 10-minute video in my YouTube channel that I show you what are the terminologies that you should learn so that you can at least speak fluently at it. It's like nursing or medical or CRNA terminology. You're not going to go and start talking to the client to the patient and try to explain, like, I'm going to put this catheter here, like I'm going to give you some saline water. You know what I mean? It sounds foreign, or it sounds like you don't know what you're doing. But when you master just like the very basics, so definitely empower yourself with the information so that you can ask questions, and always have a third person, independent person, to take a look at the underwriting of the deal, of the whole everything, the whole offering, before you deploy your money. Somebody that has no investment or no benefit to you investing or not. And there's several senior people that have done it. And if you don't know any, I will be happy to refer you to some. Definitely, we do that a lot for our investors. And even if it's not our offering, we'll tell you, this is why I will do it. This is why I wouldn't do it. And I'm, even if we you don't invest with me this capital. I'd rather you go in a good investment and then appreciate that advice, because then hopefully next time you come back and actually invest with us, because we gave you the right advice. So we do it even if it's not for our own deal. Like we, but that's what I will say. Definitely have that third party check, independent.
All right. So question 3, the last question was like question 2A, 2B, 2C. but now we made it to question 3. So what's your big goal for the next 12 months?
Next 12 months, we'll continue to grow both of the VA and the coaching business. And like this year, like I think we mentioned earlier, we had a decrease on acquisitions. So definitely we've been spending more time in stabilizing. And I believe that in 2024, there's going to be a lot of deals like you were talking about, Josh, some of them that are not doing well, that are very being challenged by the market, not necessarily by the team. And that's another thing that you need to be able to differentiate. Like I mentioned, there's risk on everything. Some teams are amazing and doing great, and the market is just this unforeseen situations that it's like COVID. Despite all efforts, the patient failed to respond. Sometimes, despite all efforts, the deal when the market and the interest rate and all the other accumulative circumstances were the determination on how that deal went. So but we are looking forward to do more acquisitions in 2004. I'm sorry, 2024. That there will be a lot of acquisitions that are going to be lined up, and also is open the or fund to fund what do you call it, cash flow investments. We have seen cash flowing like no failure on cash flow for the notes that we hold, and we want to sell those into a fund because they're proven, they are stable, and then we can continue to offer that for our investors.
All right. Just a couple things you got going. Again. So the fourth question is, if you were to tell people to do one thing right now that could change, their financial outlook, what would that be? Other than get your book.
Enough, right? Enough pitching.
That's it. One thing done.
I was right. I will say I hope that you learn something from here, or any podcast that you listen to, any book that you listen to. Many times we think like, well, I'm new, I'm still trying to understand it. You know more than the person that doesn't have that tool or that resource or that podcast. So learn something. I usually say learn 3 things that you can teach, and go and when you go and listen or read that next book, go with that intention, because when we listen with the intention of teaching, it's different, because then we're like, oh, I really need to understand this because I'm going to have to teach this to somebody else. It puts you in a different mindset. It puts you in a different intentional listening. So I would definitely say take 3 things, even if you have to go back and re-listen to the silly stories. Take 3 things and go and teach them to somebody. Teach them to your grandkids. Teach them to your young kids. They deserve to hear this.
All right, we have a final bonus question, and it's, what's the biggest financial mistake that you've made, and how can we avoid it?
You went there, huh? Okay. Well, so after graduating from CRNA school, I was like, man, I want the new car. So I didn't buy a car. I leased the car. The mistake that I make, it was a deduction for the business at that point, but that was probably say the mistake number 1, because I could have bought the car and put it as a deduction for my business, which I did the year after. But that will be one thing. But everybody has to satisfy some sort of like immediate what do you call gratification. Yeah, it's the gratification.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be one.
What kind of car was it?
Oh, it was a red SLK Mercedes hardtop convertible. Austin, Texas, baby. Living it up.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I don't know. Lot to, like you said, I think we got to go back and listen to it to take our 3 things. But this has been great. So it sounds like you got a lot going, but where obviously we'll have to link this in the show notes, but where's like the main place people can find you and connect?
And handler and Instagram is the Immigrant Millionaire, and silly me, I added all this, names or whatever. So I will text it to you, or I'll give it to you so you can link it. But the immigrant millionaire, the underscore, like, oh my gosh. Anyway, but yeah, and Facebook, I'm under my name, and we have a YouTube channel where we share a lot of the ongoing, just new information in the market, and yeah, so those are probably the main channels.
Awesome, sounds good. We'll link it in the show
Thank
notes.
you.
Well, thanks for coming on today. This has been great, and good luck with everything. Can't wait to see what you guys have in this next 12 months.
Thank you so much, and I'm here if y'all guys need anything, or your audience, always open to help those busy healthcare professionals. And thank you for having me.